Hola, buenas tardes. Yo soy Javier López, Isaac Agudo, Gerardo Fernández y Rubén Ríos.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we work at the IT Engineering School in Malaga. I would like to thank Cybercamp for giving us this opportunity to come here and to share with you, people coming from Malaga and the province of Malaga, the various researches that we have carried out up until now, for you to know what is on offer at the IT Engineering faculty here in Malaga. I am a professor at the IT Engineering School, and I've been designing security since 1995. That has given me the opportunity to get to know many people and to teach students that are now well known, such as Ismael, and that gave a presentation this morning, as well as others. So as a researcher and as a teacher, I'd like to give this presentation. The first thing that I will refer to is about our teachings in security. Then I also tell you about the research that we do at our research centers and at our labs. Isaac will talk about other topics and about all privacy and intelligent environments and privacy, and then also about malware detection and analysis. Now, regarding teaching activity. So Ismael mentioned that he was one of my students back in 1998, and at that time the opportunities to be trained on security was a bit limited, because at that time in IT engineering the curriculum there was only one elective unit on security. That has changed significantly, and now university we are offering specialization in cybersecurity in our master's course, and also another specialization as a university expert in reverse engineering and malware intelligence. Then also you can become a university expert in blockchain technology. And then Samsung and our university has engaged in a joint program about cybersecurity in IT system, which is specifically designed for vocational training students. And now, masters, university masters. This follows any of the undergraduate studies given at the engineering school. These are the units. Some of these units are about the fundamentals of security, and we offer specialization through our master's course. So the first semester, students follow a number of core subjects on security, and then we also offer specialty in data science. So that takes place in the first semester, and then in the third semester the student gets specialized. In case of security, this is the specializations: forensic analysis, malware analysis, IT security engineering, secure programming, system security. And at the end of December, we will be having the first promotion of students in the master's course offering this specialty. These students started the master's course in October 2017, and now in December 2018 they will be finishing the master's degree and they will become experts in security. Now in 2019, we will be offering an expert certification or certification in Malware Intelligence. 170 teaching hours given out in 11 weeks, and we are collaborating with VirusTotal from Google. So they have an office in the very same building. So this is certification for experts. We have the participation of 8 people, 8 teachers, including people from VirusTotal. This will start in December, and this will offer further specialization. Another certification that will be offered as of January 2019 is about blockchain technology. This technology is trendy, and we decided to offer this training course because there was a demand from companies that were in shortage of people specialized in blockchain technology. That's the reason that has taken us to design and to offer this expert certification. So this certification is open to undergraduate students, graduate students, as well as people working in private companies. Within the program that the University of Malaga is organizing and offering together with Samsung is about cybersecurity in IT systems. This has been specifically designed for vocational training students. This training course is free of charge. There is a limited number of vacancies. This training course is financed by Samsung. So we have had the first edition already. After Christmas time, we will have the second edition. And then registration is now open. This is an article that was recently published in a local newspaper that said that Malaga becomes a pool of talent for cybersecurity companies. So here we have Bernardo from VirusTotal, Sergio from 11 Path, Ismael, previous speaker. Most of them have been trained in the IT engineering school here in Malaga. And from our IT engineering school, well, we succeeded at making them interested in cybersecurity at a time where cybersecurity was not as important as it is today. So with this I mean that those who embarked in cybersecurity nowadays, many of them have very successful careers. So Sergio was my student, Ismael was also my student, Bernardo and Regina, they also went to the IT engineering school. So you see this, well, the pool of talent that is mentioned there in the local newspaper comes from our IT engineering school. And now very briefly, I will refer to the general guidelines and what we do, what we offer. So other than teaching in cybersecurity, there are many people who are interested in going beyond research and also to embark into research teams internationally. Well, the number of people in the group ranges between 20 to 25. Some people, well, just stay with us for some time to get training, and then they go and work in private companies. So now we have 3 doctors with us. Some of them are teachers, others are postdoc students. Then we also have 5 doctoral researchers and then 7 technical experts. Out of the 13 doctors, 95% of them started as technical experts, and then they escalated, they went up until they ended up being doctors. And now there are people who are doctoral students, okay? They will become doctors soon. So we have a research building at Byron, and then we also have the IT engineering school. So in this research institute, we are located in the second floor, and then in the third floor, we've been having videos total from Google since last October. One of the main advantages of the research group, or what I try to do since I created this group, has been internationalization. That is to say, being present in national and international fora. So going abroad, being present internationally gives us a perspective about what is being done in Europe and in the world. And part of the research that we are carrying out follows international trends. So we are members of European Cybersecurity Organization. Actually, we are leading one of the working teams about emerging technologies and cybersecurity. We are also members of the Huawei Security Advisor Boards, and we are the Spanish representatives within IFIP, which is Security and Privacy Protection Information Processing Systems. Less than a month ago, here in Malaga, we've been presiding the IFIP, and also we've been leading one of the subcommittees for normalization of CTN, and we are also members now of RENIC, so National Network of Excellence and of Investigation in Cybersecurity. This has helped to position the University of Malaga very high in the international rankings. And as I say, we are very well positioned, and this has allowed us to take part in European projects. We've been working in European projects since 2002. The projects that are underway nowadays, at this point in time, will last up until 2022. So in January 2019, we will be starting a project, a joint project with Centers of Excellence in Europe. Our research group and the University of Malaga will belong to the network of excellence centers in cybersecurity. Believe me, it has not been easy to participate on an ongoing basis for 20 years now in European projects. So because our group is made up of a high number of people, we are enlarging the lines of investigations that are open. So now here we only have like masculine representation of our group, but this is just a coincidence because our group is also participated by 25 or 35% of women. And I would like to mention that even if you only see men here at this round table. So these are the lines of research which are currently open. Other lines of research have been phased out. And well, I will refer to some of them, and I will not dwell on others because Isaac and Ruben will refer more specifically to them. The first line of research is about edge environment. For those of you who are not aware of it, this is evolution of cloud, that is to say, bringing the cloud closer to the users. Cloud is sometimes far away or too low for some. So this is kind of a mini cloud offering services and application closer to citizens, as we can see here in this pyramid. So within this emerging field, we are looking into how to protect this near cloud, and at the same time, we are also seeing how to use this new paradigm, this new infrastructure, so that we can increase the security of some of the applications that existed before. For instance, security in vehicles, communication networks. So using these vehicle networks help us improve security in several aspects. And these are some of the things we are studying now. Intelligent transportation system, Zach will tell you more about it. And now security of critical infrastructures, also very important for our working group. So we've been studying security, anomalies, critical infrastructure, industrial environment, water supply, energy supply, facilities. The IT systems in those industrial environments have specific characteristics, and their security also has its own characteristics. That is all evolving towards Industry 4.0, and these are some of the work and lines of research we are working on. Another line of research is forensics IT. IT forensics, I'm sure you are all aware of it. And we are evolving and from traditional forensics. Now, Internet of Things and 5G forensics have opened up new security problems that traditional forensics cannot solve. Not long ago, we created a patent for a product which is not digital witness, to obtain digital evidence and to trace that evidence. We are going into a blurred area. That is to say, one of making coexist forensics with privacy, which often oppose each other. Okay, this line of research will be discussed by Ruben, and this last line of research is about reputation and trust systems. These are mechanisms that help to improve existing security services. For instance, access control services or services for management of IDs or for delegation. These security services can be improved as long as we are able to include some mechanisms that are related to trust and reputation. Models of reputation and trust are familiar to all of us. However, translating them into the digital world is not that easy, and that's why we are working on that. And last, I would like to refer to security in 5G. For some time, we've been investigating and researching how to offer a quality of service as well as security, because they were kind of at odds with each other. This has led us to 5G network, where we have lots of protocols, lots of security, and where we are detecting specific problems for each use cases where this 5G communication is being used. Well, 5G communication is now far away from ordinary users, but it will come not in the not far away future. And now I'd like to give the floor to my colleague. As Javier mentioned before, I will refer to 3 lines of research that our team is carrying out, and more specifically, intelligent transportation system. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Isaac. When I was at secondary school, someone recommended me, why don't you become an engineer? And then I said, no, I just want to study mathematics. But then at the end, I ended up in the technical engineering school, and I also wrote my PhD dissertation in IT. I At this point in time, now I'm working in the MOTAM project. It is a project carried out jointly with Nokia, and it is for intelligent transportation system. Well, the first thing that come to mind when we think about smart transportation are vehicles. So we think about cars, and cars will be the main client for this type of systems, for this type of networks. And now, here in the cars, when we open up the system, well, the cars that we have nowadays are completely the cars, and that was it. There is onboard entertainment, keyless opening, thousands of sensors, and a software and a hardware system which is comparable to that of complex industrial systems. Therefore, now, when we have this computing of vehicles, we also have the typical threats. That is to say, non-reliable use by third parties, illicit access to communications, privacy of user data. All right, let us refer to those challenges now that may be internal or external. So regarding internal challenges, so well, in the car we have a communication system with different ECUs, that is to say, units that communicate with each other, in charge of switching on the lights and the steering wheel and all that. For many years, we had kind of a hacking culture in cars where users connected their own devices and, well, could control some parameters and elements. For instance, if were, I don't know, a car broke down. So, for instance, there was a camera there, and then you could just add a flag, and then well, people used to do that instead of paying for the installation of the flag. People used to do that themselves. Well, you can do that to activate new functionality, but you can also misuse that. You can also abuse it. Now there is a huge debate between that bus, which is open or has always been open, debates about whether to open it or not. So that was an open permeable connection. And now, what is the trend in car manufacturers? So they are talking about the extended vehicle. That is to say, that access that up until now has been direct, that is to say, access between the user, direct access of the user to the car. The car manufacturers are thinking about eliminating that gradually. So the brand will give you the authorization to access to that pot of data. Okay, this is what car manufacturers are working on now. And what is the next step? Well, your car is connected to the internet, and then you gain access to your car through the internet. So therefore, the car manufacturer decides how much you have to pay to gain access to the data. But this could pose a risk, because at the end of the day, we may end up in a monopoly. Let us say, having car manufacturers agreeing on how many data would make available and at what cost. But it's a problem. If you don't control the access boot of the vehicle, you will be in trouble. For instance, I don't know, where a person. So we have to be aware of these potential risks. And this example that I mentioned before, which is real. So there were researchers that managed to stop a car in the middle of a highway. So this bus is open, but how can you control a car remotely? And this is not only about the data bus control, but it is also about controlling the software updates. So sometimes the latest version is older, so we are doing a downgrade, which is absolutely forbidden in iOS and in Android operating system. No manufacturer will allow you to do a downgrade because latest versions are intended to improve the prior version and to patch up vulnerabilities. So this is much more neglected. This area is much more neglected. So researchers took advantage of the lack of security measures because they were not open to the users. They were not that much taken into account. Well, saying this will never happen, but what happens if it happens? Well, they changed upgrading to introduce remote access script in the device. And they did it because, well, there was a problem with one of the versions. So the upgrading was not properly done. And what are they doing now? So the researchers now want to introduce to discard the same security measures that we have to follow with in iOS and in Android. Uptane is a software developed by a US person. It is a standard, a de facto standard, that is installed by all the manufacturers.
There's a difference, which is the access systems to the vehicle. Since they don't know how the system works, they cannot break it. There have been attacks by researchers that have understood the access system for remote keys to access the vehicles. It was based on a single key, millions of vehicles sharing a symmetric key. If you get the key, you open all of the vehicles. In a traditional system, we wouldn't do it. But here, it's dark. People don't know what's inside the key. They don't know the algorithm well until they know it. A researcher can disassemble the thing. It can understand the code, and he attacks and opens the doors. These are the internal threats close to the vehicle. Then there are the external threats, when the vehicle communicates with its environment. There are vehicle-to-vehicle communication. The car talks to other cars or elements on the road, and there are different standards competing in the market. It's what happened with videos, that Vita and VHS. I don't think many of you lived through that, had that experience. The American government has chosen Wave, and the communication operators is CV2X. This is Europe and China. They all share a similar security layer. The information sent by the vehicle needs to be authentic. You need a digital signature. If the vehicle in front of me tells me that it's going to brake, so that I believe it, it has to be signed. If it's not signed, I don't believe it. Because if you're driving in the highway, someone gives you a message, a false message saying, I'm stopping, and your car stops all of a sudden in the middle of the way. So, vehicles send their course, what they're doing, their speed, so that the vehicle after them knows how to react. And then we have communication between vehicles and infrastructure, traffic signs. We're developing in a smart traffic light, which, instead of competing technologies, it uses Bluetooth Low Energy. It's an energy that we have on our smartphones, and this allows the users walking on the walk side, for example, to know what they are doing. There's a very important aspect of communications, more particularly vehicle to vehicle, it's speed. If you're constantly sending your speed and you send an ID, someone can install a sensor at your home, at your office and they know when you arrived and when you left because they're tracking your mobility. The standard we have in ITS uses pseudonyms. So your identity, when you say I'm driving at this speed, it sends an ID. 5 minutes later, it's changed. So if someone's tracking you, they can't know who are you, except for 5 minutes. With regards to challenges and opportunities of new technologies in transport and new technologies, as Javier has said before, we're working with 5G and edge computing to see how these functionalities can be supported in these environments. And there's something else which is being developed by companies is mobility as a service, shared transport. The fact that you don't need to own a vehicle. If you need, you take a motorcycle. And it's also a business opportunity for many startups that work with blockchain that want to create an opportunity in this market. I'm going to give the floor to Rubén.
Bueno, buenos días o buenas tardes ya.
Good morning. I'm going to speak about privacy in smart environments. First of all, I introduce myself. I hold a PhD in IT. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Malaga, and my main line of research has to do with these privacy problems that arise from our interaction with smart environment. I've worked in other research lines, but then not related to this. Why do we need privacy? Privacy makes us feel safe. What do we do in our private life? We want that for ourselves. We don't want to share that with others. The problem is that today our personal data are gaining value not just for companies but also for governments, criminal organizations, etc. The revolution came where personal data became a new way to pay for a service. The biggest internet service providers such as Google, Facebook, and others provide services to us in exchange for our data, so that jeopardizes our security. And if we don't agree, we cannot access the service. Due to this high number of companies that make a living out of our personal data, the different governments have set some limits. For example, in the EU, I'm sure you know, but the new regulation on data protection came into effect recently. There was a directive in the EU on data protection. The idea was for it to become stricter, more restrictive, but legislation is not enough. From a legal point of view, it's okay. You need a first line of defense, but we need to protect ourselves because we're more and more connected and technologies come with us. We're always connected. We're constantly providing data. Therefore, in our research group, we're trying to see how to protect privacy in this environment. Our wearables, the sensor networks that are around us, they shouldn't abuse the situation. We've worked in different lines, localization, location services. Almost every social media or app requires your location in order to provide you with a service. And we're providing very sensitive information such as where do we live or whether we're going to the doctors. So instead of providing the exact location, the ideal thing would be to have a balance and reduce the level of detail of our location. And instead of providing the exact point, we provide an area which contains that point. We've created a safe system or secure system based on this idea. The advantage of it is that previous solutions disclosed information. I'm not going to get into detail, but it's about creating grids with the plan. These grids are self-contained, and when in one of the grids, it provides that grid as your position. And if you move, the query speed is limited. We're working in different lines, which is privacy in telecommunication. This line of research has a long story in the net. There are complex systems such as Tor network, and they try to break the link between the user and the sites it visits. Because the fact that we visit the website of Partido Popular, a Spanish political party, cannot reveal our political ideas. This type of problems, which exist in the internet, they have been in existence for a while, and there are other types of networks. We've studied this in special networks made up by this type of devices with very limited capacities. These networks are installed in specific locations at a nuclear power plant. They don't have much security, so perhaps they can reveal where the uranium core of that plant is located. We have created a series of traffic protocols to protect the location of the events which are sensitive and the destination of the communications, etc. And then we've also worked in a different line of research, and here we provide a security or privacy platform so that when we check data managed by IoT platforms, the service provider that's on the cloud and that provides us with the access to the sensors cannot obtain information about us. This system is complex and it's based on different techniques such as delegated re-encryption and other anonymity techniques, but visually it would look like this. We don't have much time, so let's go very quickly over this. I'll give the floor to Gerardo.
Hola, buenas tardes. Soy Gerardo Fernández.
Hello, my name is Gerardo Fernández. I work in Nick's lab. We don't have much time, so I'll go to the point. In our research, we want to find the answer to three main problems. First of all, how can we obtain live malware samples that are operational at some point? Adapting honeypot system so that they're more adaptive. These honeypots usually emulate systems that are active in the net but not prepared to receive some type of malware connections. In this sample, you see a SSH honeypot receiving a command, but if we send a different command, it can fail. This command, in the case of Mirai, was paramount to get to the next stage. Being unaware of the needs of malware sometimes makes it impossible for us to install the current malware in a honeypot. How do we choose the most suitable honeypot? First, you need to know what malware is accessing our system. In this first step, when it's disseminated before it has infected the system, we need to know what it is, what it needs. We need to reduce the setup time. I need to adapt my honeypot quickly enough so that it can answer to the request. We have redirected traffic to the new cooked honeypot. We need to manage the evidence generated. When the malware is executed, it attacks the honeypot, it leaves an evidence in the file system. This evidence should be managed. If it's not executable, it should be executed. And we go back to the cycle. This is repetitive. This allows you to analyze the different stages of a malware campaign. So the first attack, the dropper is executed, and everything. This cycle, that's what we are researching. There's an important fact, which is this: being familiar with the malware, getting to know it in a very short period of time. We can do that with Malware Intelligence. One of our colleagues has mentioned threat intelligence. It's about analyzing information about the behavior of this malware and how it's disseminated, how it is distributed, what repositories it uses, information about the operating system, what processes are attacked, what connection is established, everything you can see here. The information that it can obtain is based on connection. I can contact a malware intelligence service, I give them an IP address, and they tell me what type of malware this is associated to at a specific point in time. And also through the hash of a file, I can know what malware family it is. Here you have 3 examples: critical stack Intel, which is an IP aggregator, virus total intelligence, and the last one. This is the old interface that virus total intelligence had. It's a parameterized query which allows you to look for information about a file that has been just stored in your honeypot. It can have very valuable information: what processes it infect, what record it leaves in wisdom, among others. This information can be gathered, collected in the second stage. This is another example. It belongs to MISP. Here you have information based on IP addresses, hashes, file names that malware analysts include in this portal. You obtain information about the type of evidence generated. On your left, you see a column. It says no. It means that information is not public. It's been subject to analysis. It's useful if you're trying to react to new malware to obtain live samples. I cannot wait for a month, for 2 weeks. I need to obtain the information when I start to give evidence. This graph you see here shows an MISP interaction graph. It shows an IP related to different actions in that malware campaign. Maybe if you switch your router on, you've had received something like this. This allows you to work with your honeypot. With all this information, we want to get results in these 3 lines of research: dynamic deployment of honeypots, execution controlled environments. These are special honeypots that executes the system. It's not just emulation. And then, as a consequence, the 2 other things, support for reverse engineering processes. There are a lot of actions that index behavior and collect information, but we need a link to reverse engineering. Analysis with IDAPRO. Honeypot deployment, we've built a wide network which is connected and monitored, and based on that, we collect new evidence, and the new droppers that get to those honeypots are subject to analysis. Then we have a high interaction honeypot network. I may have an emulated honeypot or a physical honeypot, and I can have the full execution of the dropper in a real environment that generates reports, the format of that evidence, segments, information about the behavior, what they did when it was executed. They've created processes. Besides, it allows you to obtain information about memory dumping, what segments of memory were created, what calls to the library have been infected. This is useful when we get to the reverse engineering phase. We don't start from scratch. There was a special case which was particularly complicated with setting up honeypots for IoT. These devices are very volatile. It may be useful for a specific campaign, but then it's not. We used a methodology, we've published it, which allows you to decide which is the most interesting honeypot. From a technology point of view, but also from the dissemination point of view. They're not easy to emulate. If we just want to emulate the services, we just have to set up Apache or similar thing. If we want data interaction, we need to execute firmware, we need to use QEMU. And based on that, we get the information on its evolution. And how is this put together? We want active malware samples, we want an interaction with intelligence services, and we need to take that to reverse engineering. This is the architecture we're working in. You see a module or interception, which receives the connection in the first place, and that module is based on a honeypot called Honeytrap, which is more dynamic. Honeytrap specifies rules depending on the type of traffic, and it decides to which honeypot it sends it. So this will allow us to check and analysis services, and based on that, we will decide to which honeypot this is sent. Then we have evidence monitoring. And the big part of the research takes place here. We need to process intelligence information using different services, correlating data between the services and providing a real-time answer. This is the hardcore of our investigation. That's all. Thank you very much.